This is a walkthrough of paper June 2022, paper 2H. We've got the mode of the integers is 9. Mode's the most common number. So look in there, the most common letter is D, so D's got to be 9. So let's I'll do the median next. The median of the numbers is 8. Well, our middle number would lie here between C and D. We know that's 9, so I'm just going to put C as 7 for now, because that was 7. The middle number would obviously be 8. The range is 4. How do we get the range? Biggest take away the smallest. So 9 take away what is 4, so 5 has got to be A. So I've got a B to put in, I'll put a 6. That works. 5, 6, 7, 9. Linear inequalities question. So we've got on this grid, draw a label with its equation, the straight line with the equation y equals 1. The line cut through your y-axis, drawn with a ruler. X equals 2. The line cut through your x-axis at 2. X plus y equals 7. There's a couple of different ways you can do this. It depends which way you've been taught. You might want to make y the subject. So by taking x off both sides. Do a little table. Choose some values of x that are on the grid. So 0, 1 and 2. Put that into this equation. 7 take away 0, because y equals 7, take away what x is. 7 take away 0 is 7. 7 take away 1 is 6. 7 take away 2 is 5. Plot these points. Join them up with a straight line. I've just added an extra point here, just so I can see where my straight line's going. Oh, it's got a negative -1 gradient anyway. So there's your line, but yours should be drawn with a ruler. Okay, so there are your 3 marks for that part. Show by shading on the grid the region that satisfies all 3 inequalities. So it's got to be bigger than or equal to 1. I'm just going to point some arrows to show the area that's bigger than or equal to 1. X is going to be bigger than or equal to 2. So this side of your graph, all the x values are bigger than or equal to 2. And here, let me go back to this equation. If you make y the subject by taking x off both sides, because it's got to be y less than or equal to 7 minus x, it's below the graph. If it's less than or equal to when y is subject, it's below the graph, the straight line that you need for the region. So where are all my arrows pointing? They're pointing to this middle triangle area. So there's my region. Speed, distance, time question. Distance is 3,980. Our time, so we need consistent units. We don't have consistent units. Let's change that into hours by dividing it by 60. 24 divided by 60 is 0.4. So 5.4 hours. Speed equals distance over time. The nearest whole number, 737 kilometers per hour. So we need to show each step for this. There's a couple of different ways of doing this one as well, but I'm going to change my fractions to improper fractions first. 5 times 3 is 15, add 1 is 16, so you've got 16 thirds here. 2 times 7 is 14, add 6 is 20. Then I'm going to look for my lowest common multiple, or my common denominator, 3 and 7, which is 21. So I would multiply that by 7 to get 21. I'm going to multiply this by 7 times by 3 times by 3. 16 times 7 is 112. 20 times 3 is 60. Subtract them, gives you 52 over 21. Change it to a mixed number fraction. How many 21s are in 42? 21, 42, it's 2, right? And 10 left over. You have to have this final step to get your last mark there. Total area of the shape is 434 centimetres squared. Got unknown length CD, which I'm going to call X. So the area of this rectangle here, 12 times 28, 336. I'm just going to take that off of my 434 because I know that trapezium at the top will be the leftover. Gives you 98. So I know the area of this trapezium is 98. Parallel sides here, what's the height? 20 take away 12 is 8. So that height there is 8. So I know half. I'm trying to think if you're given the formula for area for trapezium. I think you are, yeah, there you go. Half A plus B times H. So we know half times A plus B. A and B are parallel sides, so it's X. Add, well, what's this length here? 28 take away 10 is 18. Times by the height, which is 8, gives you 98. I'm going to rearrange that formula. I'm going to times both sides by 2 first. Divide both sides by 8. Take 18 from both sides. Your X is 6.5. Question 6. We're working out missing length. Hopefully you're just looking at that straight away and thinking right angle triangle. Given an angle, SOHCAHTOA. Which one is it? This is the adjacent. This is the hypotenuse. I won't label this length because there's no information on it. So I should be thinking, well, it's not sine. Cos, isn't it? SOHCAHTOA. Cos uses A and H. Cos of the angle is adjacent divided by hypotenuse. It's got to be that way around. How do I make X a subject? Times both sides by 9.5. 9.5 times cos 42 to 1 decimal place is 7.1. Change 81 kilometers per hour to a speed in meters per second. I'm going to deal with these metric units first for length. So how do we convert kilometers to meters? Well, 1 kilometer is 1,000 meters, right? So times it by 1,000, 81,000 meters per hour. Not done anything with the time units yet. So that means it's going 81,000 meters in 1 hour. So divide it by 60 to get per minute. So 1,350 meters per minute. Divide it by 60 again to find out every second, which gives you, I'm just going to put divide by 60, gives you 22.5 meters per second. The first thing, even before I read anything else here, I know we've got 300 celebration cards shared out in this ratio here. How many parts do we have altogether? 15. 300 divided by 15 is 20. And then, so number of birthday cards. 20 times 7 is 140. Number of anniversary cards. 20 times 5, which is 100. And the number of congratulations. 20 times 3 is 60. 2/5 of the birthday cards have numbers on them. So what's 2/5 of 140? 140 divided by 5 times 2 gives you 56. 36% of the anniversary cards. Well, you can kind of see it's just going to be 36, but if you wanted to work it out, it would be 0.36 times 100. So hang on. What fraction? Work out what the fraction of the 300 cards have numbers on them. None of the congratulation cards have numbers on them. So we've got 56, add 36, which gives us 92 out of 300 cards altogether. I'm just going to simplify it on my calculator by using this fraction button. Gives you 23 out of 75. So we've got a compound interest question here. Yeah, we've got $50,000. So we need to change this into a multiplier. It's increasing by 1.3% each year. So it's 100% plus 1.3. Sorry, 100% plus 1.3% is 101.3%. I need to make that into a decimal now. That's how we get a multiplier by dividing it by 100. So it'll be 1.013. It's for 4 years. 50,000 times 1.013 to the power 4 to the nearest dollar, 52,651. Simultaneous equations. I look at making my y's the same. It's going to times this bottom equation by 3. Don't forget to multiply everything. Plus and a minus, we need to add the equations. Divide both sides by x. No, divide both sides by 16 to get x. So 24 divided by 16 gives you x is 1.5. Now I'm going to find my y by subbing it into this equation here. I know 7x plus 3y equals 3. By subbing my x is 1.5, 7 times 1.5 is 10.5. I'm then going to subtract 10.5 from both sides. Divide both sides by 3. X is 1.5. Sorry, y is minus 2.5. Yes, correct. Factorize. So it's quadratic, double brackets. We need two numbers that multiply to get negative 24. Add to get 5. I know it's a positive and a negative because a positive times a negative makes a negative. Let me get my factors of 24. Not sure if the minus is going to be attached to that number or the other, so I'm going to write them out twice. Now, which combination of these add to get 5? Well, it's minus 3 and 8. So x minus 3, x plus 8. Hence, solve this equation. I've factorized it already. I need these two brackets multiply to get 0. Either that first bracket equals 0, in which case x is 3, or that second bracket equals 0, in which case x is minus 8. Larry's a delivery man. He has 7 parcels to deliver. The mean weight of the 7 parcels is 2.7. So already I can recognise this type of question. They do use this quite often in the IGCSE at Edexcel. I'm going to get the total first before I even read the question. So 7 times 2.7 will give you the total weight of those 7 parcels will be 18.9. Larry delivers 3 of the parcels. Each of the 3 parcels has a weight of 3W. sorry, each of the 3 parcels has a weight of W, okay? The mean weight of the other 4 parcels is 3.3. Again, I'm going to get my total for these 4 parcels by doing 4 times 3.3, 13.2 kilograms. So let's subtract those to find the weight of the total weight of the other 3. Here's your 5.7. This is the total weight of those 3. Divide both sides by 3, which gives you W is 1.9. Okay, cumulative frequency. So 0 to 20 is 7. Add them up as we're going along. So 0 to 30 is 25 plus 7. I just keep on doing that. On the grid opposite, draw a cumulative frequency graph for your table. Okay, so just don't forget here, the main mistake here is not plotting the correct number of years. It's this value against this value. So 20 and 7, and just make sure you've got your scale right. So it's going up in ones on both axes. So that's fine. 20 and 7 is there. 30. So this next one would be 30 against 32. 40 against 52. 50 against 66. 60 against 74. And 70 against 80. Okay, so I'm going to join mine with a curve. You can join it up with straight lines. It'll also give you the marks. Another question up here. Use your graph to get the median age for 80 people. So the median. We've got 80 people, right? So where's the middle person? 40th person. So let's just have a look. If I read across, this is the 40th person. What is their weight? What is their age? Sorry, not their weight. Their age is 34 years. So 34. So they will actually give you the mark for anything between 32 and 34 there. Of the people in the carriage, 60% of those who are aged between 18 and 65 are going to work. So hang on, I'm guessing. I want to know how many people are aged 18 to 65. So 65. Okay. We've got 6 people up to here, 77 up to here. So 77 take away 6 is 71. Gives you the amount of people aged between 18 and 25. %60 of these are going to work, because none of the other ones are. So what's 60% of 71? 0.6 times 71. I get 42.6. It's to me how I want to round that really. I round it to 43. Could I have 42, 43 or 44 for that one? Okay, expand your brackets. I'm going to expand these brackets first. 2x squared. 8x. 3x. 12. Let me simplify it. 2x squared plus 11x plus 12. I'm going to multiply all of that by 5 minus x. I'm going to multiply them all by 5 first. 5 times 2x squared is 10x squared. 5 times 11x is 55x. 5 times 12 is 60. We're going to times everything by negative x. Minus x times 2x squared is negative 2x cubed. Minus x times 11x is negative 11x squared. Minus x times 12 is minus 12x. Then I'm going to simplify it. Minus 2x cubed. 10x squared, take away 11x squared is minus 1x squared. 55x, take away 12x, gives you 43x. And then plus 60 for your 3 marks. Make C the subject. No, yes, sorry, make C the subject. It is C, not G. Add 7 to both sides first. I'm going to multiply both sides by 4 plus C. Just to get rid of that nasty fraction. Should we expand our brackets next? 4G plus GC. Add 28. Add 70. I want anything with a C on one side, anything without a C on the other side. We'll keep my 3 over here, take away 28 both sides. Will give us negative 25. I'm going to take away 4G from both sides. So I'm going to leave my GC. I've got my 7C, but I need to take C off both sides. 7C, take away 1C, give you 6C. Now, this is the point here a lot of people get stuck. What do we need to do? We need to factorise this into a single bracket to isolate the C, because that's what we're making the subject. Divide both sides by G plus 6. Sorry, that does not look like an equals here. But your final answer should be minus 4G. Sorry, my handwriting's awful here. Minus 4. Yeah, it is negative 4G. Negative 4G, take away 25, over G plus 6. Solve this equation here. So we're just going to subtract these fractions. Common denominator is 6. When you've got algebra involved, I think it's best to leave it as one big fraction. So we need to time, because you times this 3 by 2, you need to times this 4x by 2. I'm just going to put it in a bracket. Don't skip any steps here or you might make mistakes. Same here. That would be multiplied by 3. So we need to multiply that top bracket by 3. I'm going to expand my brackets and multiply both sides by 6. So 8x plus 10. Just be careful here. Negative 3 times 3 is negative 9. This is a point where people will make a mistake. Negative 3 times negative 2x is positive 6x. Times both sides by 6 gives you 78. Simplify. 8x plus 6x is 14x. 10 take away 9 is 1, positive 1. Take 1 off both sides. Divide both sides by 14. X is 5.5. Ooh, we've got a quadratic inequality here. Quite difficult to remember what to do with these. Definitely need to draw a sketch. But before we do that, I need to know where my graph crosses the x-axis. I'm going to put it equal to 0. I'm going to solve this. You may have, there's a few different methods for solving a quadratic when the coefficient of your y squared is greater than 1. I'm going to use the splitting down the middle method. A times b equals 2 times negative 3 is negative 30. A plus b is negative 7. So it would be positive and negative. I'm thinking 12 and 5. Yeah, that would work. Negative 12 plus 5. So I'm going to split it down the middle. 2y squared minus 12y plus 5y minus 30 equals 0. Factorize this into a single bracket. 2y bracket y minus 6. add 5 bracket y minus 6. Yeah. One of your brackets is y minus 6. The other bracket is 2y plus 5. So I need to solve it now. When does this equal 0? When this bracket is equal to 0, in which case y is 6. Let's just put this 2y plus 5 equals 0. Take 5 off both sides. Divide both sides by 2. So this crosses your x-axis. I'm giving you much space here. At minus 2.5 and 6. I know it's a positive curve. What do we want to know? We want to know when this graph is less than or equal to 0. So if it's less than or equal to 0, here's 0, it's below your x-axis. If it's greater than or equal to 0, it'd be above. So for what values of x do we get these answers here? Well, it's for all of these values of x. X is between minus 2.5 and a 6. Is your final answer there. Okay. Venn diagram. Doesn't look too complicated. It's just taking these values, right? 20, let's just stick that on the outside. 6 have goats, sheep and chickens there. Goats and chickens is 18. Now that whole thing is goats and chickens. If that whole thing is 18, means this is 12, right? 11 sheep and goats. So this whole bit in the middle on the overlap is 11. That's 5. And let's do the same with the sheep and chickens. Sheep and chickens is 17. So that's got to be 11. 31 have sheep. So this full circle here has to equal 31. So let's take off these other values, your 5, 6, 11, 31, and you get 9. Let's have a look at what else chickens we're given is 53. Let's take it all off 53. 24. Which gives us, well, there are 100 farmers were asked. Let's take all these values off 100. 13. Number in G. How many goats? Or how many farmers own a goat, rather. So let's add up those values in that circle for G. 13 plus 5 plus 6 plus 12 is 36. Right, this is the number of elements in G or C not. So what does this G union C mean, first of all? Got to be in either G or C or both. So it's all of this here. No, it's not that at all, because that's goats and chickens. Goats and sheep, isn't it? Sorry. Right, so it's all of these. But it's that dash means it's not that. So what's not that? The 24 are 20, 44 out of, no, just 44. The number in not G and C. This is how I think of this. C and not G. So what's in chickens and not goats? Chickens and not goats. So that's chickens, that whole circle, but it's chickens without the goats. So what's chickens without the goats? Can you just see it's this here, if that makes sense? $35. One of the farmers who has chickens, we know they definitely have chickens. How many have chickens? 53, so it's out of 53. By the probability, this farmer also has goats. How many of those, the owners of the chickens own goats too? Just that 12 add 6, which is 18. So you got 18 over 53. M varies directly to the cube of h cubed. So m equals kh cubed, right? M is 4. We want to work out a constant of proportionality because that stays the same. Everything else can change. I want to divide both sides by 0.5 cubed. 4 divided by 0.5 to the power 3 is 32. K is 32. So we know m equals 32 h cubed. Find the value of h when m is 500. We're going to divide both sides by 32. And I'm going to cube root both sides. You get h is 2.5. Upper bounds, lower bounds. Let's just get our upper bounds and lower bounds in. For A, 7.55, 7.45. B, 3.425, 3.415. And for F, 2.5, 1.5. Well, upper bound for 2A minus B over F. So when you divide to get an upper bound, you need the max of your numerator divided by the min of your denominator. So it's going to go into the bigger one more times, isn't it? So we can easily do the minimum of our denominator is 1.5. How do you get the max though for this 2A minus B? Well, to get the max from a subtraction, you need the max minus the min. So we need the max of A. So 2 times 7.55 minus the min of B. I'm just going to work out that numerator first. 2 times 7.55 minus 3.415 is 11.685 over 1.5, 7.79. Algebraic fractions, lovely. Right, express A in this form. So I'm guessing I need to substitute this in here, right? So it's 14 over 3 times x, which is 7 over 4y minus 3 minus 7. Well, it looks a bit nasty to sort out. Let me multiply this first. 3 times 7 is, so don't forget when you're multiplying, right? 3 is 3 over 1. Times in them, so you multiply the top, multiply the denominator. A lot of people multiply the 3 by the 4y minus 3. It's not, we don't do that. I'm going to do this, so when you've got it as a fraction like this, you need to work out the rest of that denominator. I'm going to do that by making a common denominator of 4y minus 3, because at the moment that's 1. To get a common denominator, you just multiply your denominators together. This is already out of 4y minus 3, so we don't need to mess with that 21. But for the 7, I need to times it by 4y minus 3, because I've multiplied the denominator by 4y minus 3. Let's work that out, but again, be careful. Negative 7 times y is negative 7y. Negative 7 times negative 3 is positive 21. Right, let's simplify. 21 out of 21 is 42. Don't really have much space here. So 14 divided by, oh, I'm going to write it like this actually, because now we can think of it as a keep flip change. We're going to keep our 14. We're going to flip our second fraction. Sorry, I feel like I've made a mistake here. I have, haven't I? That should be a 4 there. Oops, sorry. Which means this should be 28y. Which means this should be 28y. Okay. As you can see, it's quite easy to make mistakes with these questions. So keep flip change. I'm going to change this into a times. And again, put it over 1, multiply your numerators. not going to actually multiply that though, because I can see here I can factorize this 42 minus 28y by taking out 14, I think, is the highest common factor. 42 divided by 14 is 3. 28 divided by 14 is 2. These cancel, so I'm left with 4y minus 3 over 3 minus 2y. So put it in that form. Only worth 3 marks. I felt like there was a lot of work there for 3 marks. Let me just check I'm right. Yes, correct. So next one. Yeah, it's starting to get difficult now. We're on the last one too. So I've got quite a few questions ahead of us. This is where they're starting to get difficult, I think, now. Right, all we know, we don't know much, do we, here? Just the total area is 40 centimeters squared. So I'd be thinking, well, this is a square. Let me call that X. Let me call it X. You could do it in a slightly different way than this. Let's just see if you get the same answer as me. The area of the whole square is 4x squared. I need to minus these 4 circles, don't I, to get the shaded area. But how do I write that in algebra? Well, if that whole length is x, these are half x, so the radii are each a quarter x, if that makes sense. So it's x squared minus, the area of a circle is pi times r squared, but we need 4 of them. So 4, because 1, 2, 3, 4 circles, times pi times radius is a quarter x squared equals 40. Right, let's just deal with some of these brackets here, right? I can square my a quarter x by getting 1/16 x squared. Square a quarter, you get 1/16. Minus 4 times pi. No. Right. You can multiply all of this. I'm going to multiply minus 4 by 1/16. You can do it on your calculator, right? This is a calculator question. That is going to give you a quarter. So it gives me a quarter pi x squared equals 40. I don't like this fraction here. It's going to multiply everything by 4 to get rid of that fraction. 4x squared minus pi x squared equals 160. All right, I'm going to take out an x squared and factorize this. And I'm going to divide both sides by 4 minus pi. And I'm going to square root it. So 116 over bracket 4 minus pi gives you 186.391. I'm going to square root it though to get x. 13.652. What's your perimeter? So x, each of these lengths I'm saying is 13.642. I need to multiply it by 4 to get the perimeter of the square. And my answer needs to be correct to 3 significant figures. Gives me 54.2. I'm seeing 54.6 here. Let's just have a look. Yeah, sorry. It is 54.6. Let's have typed something else in my calculator. They do actually give you marks anything between 54.4 to 54.7. Now, these vector questions like this I know are quite difficult. So even if, let's say this is worth 5 marks, right? There's a lot of work involved here. Even if you can't do all of it, like try and get some things in vector form. What we want to know is the ratio of AQ to QB, right? So there to there. Because we don't know how far Q is along that line. Let's get the vector AB, shall we? Might get a mark for doing that. A to B minus 4A plus 6B. Okay, I'm going to put that on here. So we know, right, we do know that Q is part way along that line. So I'm going to put AQ equals X minus 4A plus 6B. Because it's somewhere, it's like a fraction multiple along that line, if that makes sense. It's not half, it might be a quarter. It's like a quarter way along the line. Don't know what X is then. So what I like to do here, we want A to Q to B. Our problem is we don't know Q. So I'm going to try and get a vector involving Q. I'm going to get two of the same ones in different ways and put them equal to each other. They've got this massive unknown here. Don't know how far Q is along. So I'm going to get OQ. How can I get OQ? Well, it's part way along OP, isn't it? So I get OP as well. Right, let's get OP because we are told A to P. Let me change the colour. A to P is 2A plus 8B. So what's O to P? Hang on, I'm going to get rid of this because I want to use that for this actually. Sorry. So O to P is 4A, add 2A, add 8B, simplifies to 6A plus 8B. That's O to P. So I know O to Q is definitely part way along this line, O to P. And I'm going to call that X, 6A plus 8B, because it's part way, it's a fraction of the way along that line. How else can I get O to Q? Well, I can just see here, right? I don't know if you can see this, but can you see O to Q is O to A plus A to Q? O to A is 4A. A to Q is part way along A to B. So now I have two separate kind of like equations, vector forms for OQ. I'm going to put them equal to each other because OQ equals OQ. Now I'm going to call something, do something called equating coefficients of. I think we'll start with B. Right, so what's got a B with it? If I expanded these brackets, I'd have 6AX plus 8BX, wouldn't I? So 8B is so 8X is a coefficient of B. Let me just show you that down here. 6AX plus 8BX. So what's my coefficient of B? It's 8X. Here, my coefficient of B again, that's something to do with A. I'm not interested in that. If I expanded these brackets over here, I get minus 4AY plus 6YB. So 6Y. I'm also going to equate my coefficients of A. The coefficient of A here is 6X. A coefficient of A here is 4 plus, well, if I expanded these brackets, it'd be negative 48Y, so it'd be minus 4Y. Now I've got two equations involving X and Y. So what I'm going to do, I think, is make X the subject or Y the subject. I'm going to make, yeah, I want it in terms of X, I think. Hang on, so X equals 6/8 Y, which is divided both sides by 8. Or we could say X is 3/4 Y, couldn't we? And I'm going to put that into here. So we know 6. No, I might do it the other way around. Uh, hmm. No, we'll do it like this. So 6 times 3/4 Y equals to 4 minus 4y. Right, let's multiply this out. Nine over 2y equals 4 minus 4y. I'm going to add 4y to both sides. I'm going to do it here. And divide both sides by 8.5. Get y is 8 over 17. Which means if I put that back into here, x is 3/4 of y. 3/4 times 8/17. 6/17. I actually want to know why, really, don't I? Because it's y, which is telling me we want AQ to QB. And y is 9, this is y, 8/17 of the way along. So if that's 8 out of 17 gives you 9 left over. So can you see it'd be 8 to 9? Let me just check that though. It's quite a tricky question there. Yeah, 8 to 9 is your ratio of AQ to AB. All right, a coordinate geometry question. These are notoriously difficult as well for your the IGCSE. I always suggest to draw a picture with these. A, B, C, D is our kite. Yeah, no, I will leave it like that. A, B and AD. Might A go A, B, C, D, I think. Because AB equals AD. And there's 6.7. My kite's not drawn very well. That's meant to be. No, I'm going to start again. A, B, C, D. There's a kite. Diagonals A to C and B to D. They cross at right angles. Important to know. Right, I've not drawn this like the right way round, but let's just put on this information. It's not like in the right orientation on a grid here, but that's -3, 4. Midpoint diagonals intersect at the midpoint 0, 2. AB equals AD is 6.5. So again, I don't know where I'm going with this yet, but let's just see why have they given us the length of a line, so that's probably quite important, isn't it? What else have they given us? Well, I just know thinking about gradients, perpendicular gradients. Got 2 coordinate points here, so let's get the gradient of AC. So gradient is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, right? So 4 take away 2 over -3 take away 0. Didn't really need a calculator for that, but it is -2 over 3. Is the gradient of AC. BD or DB is perpendicular to AC. So the gradient of this little symbol here means perpendicular is the negative reciprocal of that. So it's -1 divided by -2 over 3, just be 3 over 2. So now I'm tempted to find the equation of the line DB. And I know the gradient. So the equation of a line is y equals mx plus c, right? I've got a coordinate point on the line DB is 0, 2. I know the gradient is 3 over 2, so I could sub all that in. So y is 2. M is 3 over 2. What's 3 over 2 times 0 is just 0. So c equals 2. The equation of this line DB is y equals 3 over 2 x plus 2. Now I'm also thinking They've given us the length of this line from A to B, haven't they? So we don't know this coordinate point, do we? We could use, let me just have a little think about this. We could get the length of the line between this point and this point. Then we could use Pythagoras, couldn't we? So what's the equation of the length of the line is x1 minus x2 squared add y1 minus y2 squared. So we did that with the coordinates -3, 4 and 0, 2. I haven't got enough space to put it all in really, but let me just do it. So -3 take away 0 squared, add bracket 4 take away 2 squared equals 13, or root 13. Length of that line here is root 13. Hey, so what else do I know? I know that a squared plus b squared equals c squared. C squared is 6.5 squared. Let me call this b, right? Root 13 squared is 13. Let's call this a. Well, I don't know this coordinate point here, but let's say if it's x1, y1, you could say x minus 0, well, which is just x. Squared, because I'm getting the length of this line, minus 2. So x minus 0, so y minus 2. Plus 13 equals 6.5 squared, which simplifies to x squared sorry, there should be a plus in the middle, shouldn't it? Plus, if I expanded the brackets, y minus 2 times y minus 2, get y squared minus 4y plus 4 plus 13 equals 6.5 squared, which is 42.25. Now I'm thinking, right, I want an equation in terms of one letter. So we can now sub this into here. I'm going to try and do here. So we've got x squared add 3/2x plus 2 squared minus 4 bracket 3/2x plus 2. I'm going to just take off my 13 and my 4 from the other side now. Gives you 25.25. Just check that. Now, x squared, if I expanded these brackets, so 3/2x plus 2 times 3/2x plus 2, I'd have 9/4x squared. 2 times 3/2x would be 3x, plus 3x plus 3x plus 4 minus 6x minus 8. Which gives you x squared, add 9/4x squared 3x of 3x of 6x will cancel with that. 4 take away 8 would be minus 4, but I'm going to add it to the other side. 29.25. Add these together, 9 over 4x plus 1x. 13 over 4x squared. Divide both sides by 13 over 4. And then square root. I've got a funny number here. I must have gone wrong somewhere. Hang on a second. Right, so I've got x squared. It should be 2 minus y, not my y minus 2. No, it shouldn't. No, that should be fine. X squared, add y squared, minus 4y plus 4. Right, okay. No, that's absolutely correct there. So x squared, add 3 over 2x plus 2 all squared. Minus 4, yes. Yeah, that's also fine. 3 over 2 times 3 over 2 is 9 over 4. Let's just expand these brackets like this, just to make sure I've not made a mistake here. So we've got 9 over 4x squared. 2 times 3 is 6. 6 over 2 is 3. So plus 3x plus 3x plus 4. Minus 4 times 3 over 2. 6x minus 8. Yeah, 3.25 squared here. It's equal to, oh, that should be 29.25. Right, I did have everything correct here. I hope maybe you spotted that before me. That should be, I just copied it down incorrectly. Right. I'm glad I went back to being in there. So 29.25 divided by 13 over 4 gives you 9. X squared is 9. Square root both sides gives you x is 3. X is 3 or minus 3, sorry. Because if you square a negative number, you get a positive number. Substitute it back into this equation to get your y. So if your y values, I'm just going to tell you, should be 6.5 minus 2.5. And yeah, we got to this last question. No, there is another one after this. Right, this last question here, second to last question. Find the coordinates of A. So this is based on your normal cos graph. What does a normal cos graph look like? Where does it go through your x-axis? I'm pretty sure it's 90, but I'm going to check on my calculator. Yeah, 90. It's probably going to be useful to find that point. 1 minus 1. There's 90 degrees, that's 180 degrees on the normal cos graph. Because if I do cos of 180 minus 1, so that value there is 180, not that one. So we've had a transformation where we've multiplied inside your function. So don't forget, when you multiply inside your function, so hang on. If you multiply outside your function, we just multiply your y value by the number outside. It's a bit different when you multiply inside your function. So this is a half x here. So don't forget, we need to 1 divided by a. So like this is a multiplication inside your function, f of ax. And we need to multiply the x-axis by 1 divided by a. What is a here? Well, this is a cos of a half x. 1 divided by half is 2. We're going to need to multiply your x values by 2. So if you multiply that 90 by 2, that's 180, the coordinates. Multiply 180 by 2, it would be 360, negative 1. Right. So just immediately I'm looking at this, I'm going to see, I can see powers of 3 going on. Let's try and write everything as a power 3. So 18 is 2 times 9, 2 times 3 squared. 27, root 27 is 27 to the power of a half, but 27 is 3 cubed, so 3 cubed to the power of a half to the power 4n plus 6 over 2 times 3 is 6 times 3 squared multiplied by 2n plus 8. So I've written as much of it as I can as 3 to the power something. Now I need to simplify it. Well, 2 divided by 2 is 1. One of these 3's cancels with one of the 3's there. So it's going to leave us with a 3 on the denominator because you've got 3 squared and 3. What about this top bit here? So 3 times a half would be 3 over 2. Oh, let's do a half times 4n plus 6. Right, so I'm going to put 3 to the power 3. Half times 4n plus 6 is 2n plus 3. And at the bottom here, remember I got rid of that 3 with one of those 3's. So 2 times 2 is 4n plus 16. I'm going to just multiply out that top bit as well. 6n plus 9. I need to involve this 3 somehow. That's 3 to the power 1. So I add your powers, don't you, when you multiply, and the base is the same. So 6n plus 10. This isn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. Equals 3 to the power x. Now I can say that. Bases are the same, so I can subtract your powers. So 6n plus 10 minus 4n plus 6 is 3 to the power 2n. 6n take away 4n is 2n. 10 take away 6 is 4. No, that's not 4, that's 16. 10 to the 16 is negative 6. Okay, so can we see x is equal to 2n plus minus 6? Okay, hopefully you found that useful, and thanks for listening.